Ezra Tyler both led last week's protests for gun safety. Thank you both so much for being with us. Ezra, I'm going to start with you. Your thoughts on these two lawmakers being expelled for protesting gun violence. What does this say to you about democracy in your state?
I think it says something that we've known for a long time, which is that the lawmakers are scared of the power of the youth vote. So these people have shown up and stood with us and are being punished for standing with these youth voices. And not only did we organize last week, we've had almost 11 days of continuous action at the Capitol. And we actually sat in for 12 hours during their expulsion because these lawmakers have tried to silence us so thoroughly. And we won't stand for that. We're making it clear that we are with not only these three, but with the entire community that they're attempting to silence.
Brent, I don't need to tell you this. These expulsions have garnered national attention. All eyes are on Tennessee. And there are a lot of analysts who are not from Tennessee or not of Tennessee, do not live in Tennessee, who say this could be the beginning of a political shift, of a political earthquake, and it could be generational. Is that what it feels like on the ground there?
I think it definitely feels like that on the ground. I've lived in Nashville for 17 years. A lot of my family's from Tennessee. And the way that I'm seeing people respond to this is unlike anything I've ever seen out of Tennessee. People are really shifting how they think, not just about the issue of guns, but also about the Republican politics behind them. And the power that has come behind the youth movement has been so inspiring. Yesterday, me and Ezra helped some high schoolers set up a march right in front of the Legislative Plaza. Kids who go to the same high school that my mom works at in a really conservative part of Tennessee. Watching them and their families stand up made me think that this is not just a moment, but it's the start of a movement.
Ezra, I'm sure you've seen this data. It is absolutely devastating. It shows the number of children and teens killed by guns rose 50% between 2019 and 2021. Yesterday, March for Our Lives founder David Hogg responded to those stats, tweeting, quote, "It's not teachers making kids liberal. It's the fact Republicans have failed to protect an entire generation, and kids live in constant fear of being slaughtered in their schools." I wonder, what action do you want your state lawmakers and your federal lawmakers to take to better protect your community and your generation? And listen, it is a few years between being a young person who's in school and being me and having kids who you're sending into those schools, right? It is a blip in your life, and change has to happen very fast in order to close that gap. What is it you want to see from your lawmakers?
Absolutely. We've known that gun violence is the leading cause of death for young people in the entire nation for years now, and we've been calling for this. And it's bigger than just school shootings, which absolutely galvanize the nation, and it's something that we all are afraid of, but it's everyday gun violence that's killing our kids too. And so just like you said, it impacts every single community member and every single American. Kids are scared of losing their lives. Their peers are losing their lives, but we also have parents and community members that are grieving the loss of these children. And so what we can say is clear, that we have clear solutions and common sense gun solutions, but also solutions that build safer and healthier communities holistically, that end this gun violence epidemic. This is a uniquely American issue, and there's a way that we can solve it, and we've been calling for these solutions for decades. We're calling for lawmakers to end their culture wars and instead focus on the war of gun violence that is killing people every single day.
Ezra, I want to thank you for what you just said there, because it is a point that often gets lost in this conversation, which is part of what we're talking about, of course, are these mass shootings. But to the point you made, it is also everyday gun violence that drives these numbers. I want to ask you, Bryn, you got polling showing that American dissatisfaction with gun laws is at an all-time high, right? 63% are dissatisfied. If that's the polling, then why do Republican lawmakers seem so misaligned with the will of the American people?
That's such a great point, and I think it really speaks to what just happened in Tennessee. We had our lawmakers that were advocating for what we were screaming outside of the courthouse for days, with thousands of people there, and they were forcing those legislatures to hear those voices that they didn't want to hear. Over 90% of Americans support universal background checks, and we've seen no movement on that. And I think that it points to the fact that what happened on Monday isn't just about the backsliding of democratic norms in Tennessee. It's about the willful like deafness of the Republicans to hearing what it is that Americans want to keep themselves safe.
Bryn, Esri, I got to say, I'm reminded over and over again about this point that David Hogg and others make, which is we often laud you and your generation for being brave and showing up as leaders. It should not be incumbent upon you to do the work that you are doing. We should have figured it out by now. Esri and Bryn, thank you both.